Real life, real music radio with your host, Kyle Hutton.
And here he is. That's just about where you were sitting the night that we did the show with Wade Bowen when you just stole the show from all of us. It was perfect. It was a wonderful night.
I absolutely owe this crowd and this room to you, my friend, for inviting me in that night, and we had an absolute blast. So cheers and applause to you for helping a friend out, helping a brother out. Thank you.
You know, I'm just thinking of all kinds of analogies that are going through my head, and they're all so inappropriate.
You've come to the right place.
I was going to say something about, it'd probably be like if you had a few daughters and you were trying to marry the real ugly one off, and you were having a real hard time and it was difficult, but then you had one that was really pretty and it was easy to marry that one off. I'm not saying you're pretty, Scotty. I'm simply saying that putting you on stage, it's not difficult to help you earn fans just by putting you on stage. So we're going to have a lot of time. We're going to have a lot of time to talk tonight and for me to ask you questions. But man, why don't you just pick one of your barn burners that you want to kick us off with tonight, and let's do that first.
Got it. Boy, it's good to see everybody. It sure is. At this point, I see so many familiar faces. I really do consider you all friends. I thank you for coming tonight. This is awesome. Well, we mentioned this right before we started the show. They said, "Do you want anything on stage to drink?" And I said, "No, it's my show, just water." As you know, I hung it up about 4.5, 5 years ago. So here's the song from that turn in my life. Here's a little tune called "Damn You Whiskey." I don't like the way that you treat me, but I love the way you make me feel. And I'm a fool that keeps believing that the lies you keep telling me are real. Tomorrow morning I'll be praying that today's the day that I don't reach for you. But every night I find a reason to fall off the wagon and back in love with you. But this time's the last time, this time I mean it. Even though you're my favorite sin, and every night we fight and every night I lose. Damn you whiskey, you win again, yeah. I stand once again with this bottle in my hand. Might be the last drink I ever pour, might be the last one before I pour one more. But this time's the last time, this time I mean it. Even though you're my favorite sin, but every night we fight and every night I lose. Damn you whiskey, you win again. Said every night we fight and every night I lose. Damn you whiskey, you win again. This time's the last time, this time I mean it. Even though, honey, you're my favorite sin. But every night we fight and every night I lose. Damn you whiskey, you win again. So every night we fight and every night I lose. Damn you whiskey, you win again. Thank y'all. I'll drink to that.
Damn You Whiskey off of the last studio album released in 2020, Guilty.
Yeah. Yes, it sure was. I wrote that with my friend Brian Maynard, and he and his wife own Herb's Hat Shop in Blanco and San Antonio. All right. And he knows a thing or two about drinking.
So you're going to blame that all on him. I can see.
Yep.
How that's going.
Yep. All the truthful lines came from Brian. There you go.
Okay, so on that same record, Guilty, which, by the way, I know you're working on a new project. We can probably talk a little bit about that today. I wonder, is there any chance we might get to hear a new song or two tonight?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, well, before we go down that road, I want to ask you about another one off of the Guilty record, and that's called Welcome to Texas.
Amen.
I wonder, tell us, obviously it doesn't hurt when you're here in Texas to have a song about Texas.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that one. I wonder if you play it for us.
Oh, I'd love to. So some years ago, and I'm going to say maybe 6-7 years ago, I was dove hunting up with one of my best friends in the world, Dean Crump, up in Shamrock, which is east of Amarillo. And for anybody that didn't grow up in the Panhandle and wasn't that part of your geography growing up, I mean, you just kind of think of Amarillo as a wide spot in the road to try and eat the 72-ounce steak and get gas and then keep going to wherever it is you were trying to go to, right? And we're standing out there one night, and granted, these were in the years that I was drinking, but we were standing out there one night. It was dusk, and it was absolutely gorgeous. It couldn't have been prettier. I mean, it was just the sun setting across the plains, and we were up on this little knoll you could see for miles. And I turned to Dean, and I said, "Some say the plains are as flat as a board, but I swear they're the front porch to heaven's door." And we both just started giggling. He goes, I know, get your phone. And because as a songwriter, that's what you do. If that happens, then you write it. And so that little song was on the Guilty album, and for our friends that are in queue looking for this new album that's going to come out even pretty soon this year, we remade this song. And I changed the second verse a little bit, just to kind of say a little bit more of what I wanted it to say. Cool. Some say the Panhandle is flat as a board, but I swear the plains on the front porch to heaven's door, where the road signs say, "Welcome to Texas." It's the only place a stranger feels like he's coming home, the way a sinner feels when all his sins are gone, where the fine folks say, "Welcome to Texas." Welcome to Texas, just 3 little words, mean a whole lot more in your life. It's a place you lay your head at night, then they're more than just the words on a border sign. Welcome to Texas. There's miles and miles and fence posts where the windmills stand tall. We don't leave nobody out, that's why we say y'all, where the fine folks say, "Bienvenidos to Tejas," fancy Spanish. Welcome to Texas, just 3 little words, mean a whole lot more in your life. It's a place you lay your head at night, then they're more than just the words on a border sign. Yeah, welcome to Texas. Welcome to Texas, just 3 little words, mean a whole lot more in your life. If it's a place you lay your head just the words on a border sign. Yeah, where everybody says, welcome to Texas. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so now I do want to fast forward just a little bit, okay? And maybe not to something that people haven't heard yet, but I want to talk about the newest single that is out called One More Reason. I love the song, man.
Thank you, brother.
That one has just come out, correct?
It's been at radio. I think this is its third week at radio right now, and
Cool.
Texas Regional Radio. And so that is our current little baby. By the way, I want y'all to know I'm tickled to death to do this with you. I really am. This format, to be able to sit up here and talk with a friend and dive deeper into this is a blast. So thank you. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. And here's the deal. We'll take your pulse at the end because I've got some questions up my sleeve. And if you're still calling me friend at the end of this show, then I have not done my job right.
Somebody get my attorney on the phone quick.
No, so tell us about the new single, man. Give us the background on it and a story and play it for us.
Well, songs in my world start in a couple different ways. Being a guitar player or an instrumentalist, I try and put one of them in my hand kind of periodically all day long. Because you never know what's going to come out. You don't know if it's there, and sometimes you're just noodling and it means nothing. And then sometimes you land on something, and then you play it again the second day, and you play it again the third day, and you go, oh, that's a thing. Like, okay, so that's like a sliver. It's got in my brain, and it's going to have to come out. So this thing, like that was starting to live.
That's not a sliver. That's like a tree.
Yeah.
Now you're just showing off, man.
Well, it had been there for a while, and I knew that I wanted to write something halftime, right?
Yeah.
I knew, and that's what that particular song, the time signature, is called, a halftime. You're hitting it half as much. So I thought, okay, I thought it was. So I'm having a conversation with Miss Lisa, my wife, and she knows I'm a big golfer, and I wished I was a better golfer, but I think I'm a big golfer, and so she said these magic words to me. She said, honey, I just wish someday we could retire on a golf course. And without missing a breath, I said, honey, like I need one more reason to love you. And then I thought, hey, where's that lick at? You like rodeos, you love George Jones, you like your vodka strong when you get your buzz on. You got the long hair, you got the dairy air, you got the cowgirl fight I'm gonna love tonight. Like I need one more reason to love you more than I already do. As if I had to pick just one, honey, don't think I could choose. When you look at me and say, baby, there ain't nothing we can't get through. Like I need one more reason to love you more than I already do. Yeah. Like to go fishing in the dark when we're kissing. You're built like a thoroughbred. When you give me that look, I'm dead. You got the swing like a backyard chair. You got the cool like a Frigidaire. You got the eat kind of ride I'm gonna love tonight. Like I need one more reason to love you more than I already do. As if I had to pick just one, honey, you don't think I could choose. When you look at me and say, baby, there ain't nothing we can't get through. Like I need one more reason to love you more than I already do. Yeah. reason to love you more than I already do. As if I had to pick just one, honey, you don't think I could choose. When you look at me and say, baby, there ain't nothing we can't get through. Like I need one more reason to love you more than I already do. Like I need one more reason to love you more than I already do. Yeah. Thank y'all. Thank you.
I don't know what you do for a living. I don't know what you do. But in whatever you do you ever like get in the presence of someone that both inspires you and makes you want to quit at the same time? I'm having that feeling tonight. I don't know if I'm going to go home and practice or go home and cry. I love it.
Thank you, my friend.
I love it. Okay, so let's do this. Now I want to go off the map for a minute.
Okay.
And by off the map, I want to put you on the spot. And that's the newest single, right?
It is,
but,
yes.
But I wonder if, because you know you've got some great friends and fans here tonight, and just because this show usually kind of lends itself to it, play us something new. I mean, maybe nobody's heard it yet, or maybe you've been writing over, during this COVID time or whatever. I wonder if you've got something like kind of new in your head or on your heart that you might play for us.
Yes. It's so new, I'm scared. That's...
Okay.
We're very blessed right now. Very blessed right now to be working shows. I mean, every single week we were talking about this, and it's always quite the map to try and get the week navigated driving. So I got a lot of windshield time. Windshield time for a songwriter's gold.
Yep.
Leave the radio off, let your thoughts clear, do what you need to do, and kind of let all that stuff come from your peripheral into the front to see what it sounds like. And I guess subconsciously I've been putting these images together in my head, and I don't think I realized it. And I was passing from Port O'Connor, and I was headed back up to Lavernia to do a show up there. And no exaggeration, we do somewhere between 1,000 plus miles a week looking out the windshield. And this state is famous for these towns. Old Texaco turned into an antique store. Bobby's selling his barbecue pit off of FM 204. There's a rumor going around we're gonna get a brand new grocery store, but ain't no one seen hiding a hair of it round here so far. In this water town, we're town. Slow it down to 35 and have yourself a look around. Now the people passing by, they don't even slow down in this water tower town. Been a little hot this year to get the crops to grow, but I hear they might be coming to town to look for that black gold. There's a line of new money coming in on out-of-state plates. It ticks off the old-timers, but for some it gives us faith. In this water town, we're town. Slow it down to 35 and have yourself a look around. But just like those people passing by, they don't slow down in this water tower town. Yeah, when I was out of high school, I was gonna leave in about a year. Now I'm a little bit older, I kinda like it here. In this water town, yourself a look around, 'cause the people passing by, they don't even slow down in this water tower town. Yeah, the old Texaco turned into an antique store.
Yeah, very nice.
Thank y'all.
Very nice.
The images from a windshield.
Yeah, man, I love that. I grew up in a water tower town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. You caught the feeling there.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
And I live in one now, Bandera. In fact, the community I live in, Bridlegate, it's got a very famous water tower right in the middle of it. Got a big old horse painted on it. So every time, all those images kept just kind of crashing into my head. You ever see that? What was it? I think it was a Ben Affleck movie where they were controlling all the bets by subliminal messages. Anybody see that movie? Like they're maybe those were drinking years too.
Ben Affleck, subliminal messages. I don't remember it.
I'm going to have to find it. If I find it, I'll post it, and then you'll hopefully prove my sanity.
But go ahead. What's the point?
Well, the point was that was that was the song, right? Like I keep seeing water towers. I keep seeing, and just so you know, too, Bobby's selling his barbecue pit out of FM 204. That is Robert, who owns 58 Junction in Lufkin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a barbecue pit master. So a few friends made it in there too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great song. Okay, so I want to ask you, and then I'm going to jump into a little bit of your musical upbringing, because you've got a really interesting story. I've had the opportunity to sit here and talk to a lot of people, right?
Yes, sir.
And your story it has got a lot of interesting twists and turns in it. But before we get there, I want to ask you about the single that you put out in 2019, "My First Beer."
Yes.
My first beer.
My first beer.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. We were on a buck hunting trip, and I was probably 14 years old, and it was that moment, right, where we'd finally gotten out of the house, and it was time to be a man, I suppose. And Dad had this god-awful beer. I'll never forget it. He drank this thing called Blitz Weinhardt. We were on the West Coast, and we were up in Oregon. Dad was a logger. And he cracked this thing open to me, and he handed it to me. And he said, "Don't tell your mother." And I just thought that was cool. And so that was the story. That's how that memory finally rolled back around about a decade ago to write My First Beer.
So did you like it?
No.
I'm just seeing if you're being honest.
If I'm being dead honest, I'm like, wait, what, this? I'm waiting for this? Kool-Aid's better than this. Like, Sunny D is better than this. Like, what? Boy, I got over that quick. But yes, that's where my first beer come from. Don't remember the words to that song, or who I danced with at senior prom. Yeah, it's just been way too long. Don't remember what movie we saw at that drive-in in my first car. Yeah, it's been too many years. Yeah, but I remember my first beer. For the most of us, the details turn to dust. And even with that buzz, I can see it crystal clear. Yeah, I remember my first beer. Three or four is more than plenty, but but you wind up drinking 3 too many. But you don't learn that for a few more years, yeah, after you've had your first beer. For the most of us, the details turn to dust. And even with that buzz, I can see it crystal clear. Yeah, I remember my first beer. Son, don't tell your mother, we're both gonna get in trouble. He cracked that can wide open, it was music to my ears. Yeah, I remember my first beer. Yeah, I remember my first beer. True story. Thank you, friends.
That's great. What was the line again about it takes you a few more years before you figure out?
3 or 4 is more than plenty. 3 or 4 is more than plenty. But you wind up having 3 too many. But you don't learn that for a few more years after you've had your first beer.
Yeah.
I played a show one time, but it's so true, isn't it?
We just got that on tape, sir. You said that just loud enough. It was perfect. That's so true from the audience. I love it. Are y'all having an okay time tonight? Everybody doing good? Okay. You want to play the fiddle if I pick on one?
I would love to.
I want to play a. I'm going to get him to get that fiddle out back there. What do y'all think? The backup fiddle? Oh, I will. I'll have him tell that. Go ahead and tell him right now.
Yes, sir. So this is number 1. Number 1 is back. Number 1 is back. This is the guy that took a fall. It came out of a case from the top of a drum riser, and it went end over end like a Lego on a cement floor from about me to that camera. And these are called the ribs. It broke all the ribs out. It split the face up right here, you can see. And I don't know, it was like something out of a cartoon, like it should have just hit the floor and stopped. And it didn't. It was like it gained buoyancy. All of a sudden it just went boing, doing, 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 and then just... So it just came out of the shop now after whatever it was, 2 months, 3 months, I guess it was in the shop. And I'm happy to say, and especially to a country music crowd that knows Texas music, Brian Duckworth is my fiddle repairman. He's a great luthier. He's over in New Braunfels. Oh, yeah. He played fiddle for Robert Earl on the road for 17 years, Kyle? Wasn't it like that? It was a long time. A long time. So it's fun to go into the shop and just hang out with him anyway and talk fiddle. But yes, number 1 is back.
Cool. All right. So this, we just recorded, I just recorded this song, and we're actually putting it out as a single this month. So you get to hear the studio version of this one. I wrote this song. I've got 3 boys, and they're all older. The youngest of my 3 boys is a senior in high school. The other 2 are already married off and doing their own thing. And then I was adopted when I was a kid, so I always kind of thought that I might wind up with a kid through adoption, and we wound up with 2.
Good for you.
And we wound up with 2, and here's the part where you'll question my sanity. My oldest is 23, My youngest boy is 18, and then the girls are 8 and 5. Yeah. We didn't do the math on that when, no, man, it is, man, those little girls have changed my life, and from what I understand, it's only getting started. So now I'm getting to raise girls, right? And I'll tell you, if you didn't know, it's a totally different thing than raising boys. And here's one thing that I've learned about girls is there's some girls, like my wife, she fancies herself having a green thumb, and she loves to go around the yard and water plants and, fertilize them and make sure they're all taken care of. And she's the type of girl that loves flowers on the plant. You know what I mean? And the two little girls that we have are girls that love flowers pulled off the plant. Yeah. And so, so I came home one day, like, that's all I have to say to set up this song. And then I'm going to play this song for you, and it's our new one that's coming out. It'll be, I think, available, on Spotify and Apple Music and however you consume your music on September 17th. We're shooting a video for it tomorrow. It should be fun. And so anyway, I'll play this song for you. It's a sweet little song called Flowers in the Yard in the key of C, if you would like to join me. It's going to go something like this. I knew it was a good one when I pulled into the drive. Camellia blooms and tears at your side, and two little sets of hands with work left to be done, and a harvest of your efforts would take a year to be undone. Well, let's go on in the kitchen and we'll put some supper on. And that little in the pantry takes a lot of being gone. And no matter what we're having, someone will complain. And you'll just roll your eyes while I think about the day when we finally have the freedom that we planned for all our lives, and a sink with fewer dishes and less clothes to wash and dry, and a quiet cup of coffee won't be quite as hard. There'll be money in your pocketbook and flowers in the yard. Floors creaking above us in the middle of the night, and no more I had a bad dream and she started the fight, and the only midnight waking be from the sounds that I don't hear, and the wondering that's gonna move in when they leave us here. And we finally have the freedom that we planned for all our lives, and a sink with fewer dishes and less clothes to wash and dry, and a quiet conversation won't be quite as hard. There'll be money in your pocketbook and flowers in the yard. we'll finally have the freedom that we planned for all our lives, and a sink with fewer dishes and less clothes to wash and dry, and a quiet cup of coffee won't be quite as hard. There'll be money in your pocketbook and flowers in the yard.
Beautiful song. Man.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for playing. I love hearing you play that.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Now, why don't you kick it up? Put a little octane behind that. I know you've been drinking Do-Si-Do coffee. Let's see what you can do on that fiddle. Because I know...
Coffee's really good for you. Coffee's just natural, and I don't think there's anything wrong with drinking a lot of coffee. I think it's fine. It's easy. Don't rush. It's good for the show. Not that song.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. As we're kind of we're shifting gears here. Let's talk for a minute, because you play a lot of different instruments, a lot of different instruments well. So tell us, go through for our listener in San Luis Obispo, California. By the way, welcome. We're glad you're here to learn all things about Texas.
My sister lives in Valencia.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I
Cool.
got another one up near Sacramento, too. So we got a couple of sisters out on the West Coast.
There you have it.
Yeah.
There you have it. So tell me what instruments you play on stage as part of your show.
Right now, like in a high percentage, we just play guitar and fiddle. I play acoustic, electric, both guitars, and then fiddle. On most of the Guilty record, all of My First Beer, that single, Cowboy's Daughter, that single. Not so much on the new album. I farmed a bunch of that out because I was tired of working so hard. But I played drums, bass, mandolin, banjo, of course, all the guitars, fiddle, and it was more because I was broke. And I happened to know how to play those things. Just as a kid growing up, we had a basement full of stuff.
Yeah.
And the fiddle was actually the first instrument, and I don't consider it my most fluent instrument. I love playing it, but it's not necessarily my most fluent. But I started playing fiddle first, then guitar, and then a drum kit showed up, and then I started just playing along with the radio. I just turned the radio on and just play along.
Yeah.
And then a bass guitar showed up. And then by then I was already touring with a band, and so I could sit with the guys in my band, and I could go to, Donnie Simmons, great bass player, toured a bunch, and with a bunch of early country acts, and say, hey man, what's the real way to play bass guitar? What do you do here? So I wasn't just a frustrated guitar player, faking my bass skill, and then would do the same with the drummers. And I had a friend of mine, y'all know what a steel guitar is, right?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
So a steel guitar, I had one at my house for a year one time, and I gave it back. To this day, I still don't play steel guitar. That's left for experts. It's kind of a torture device, like this thing. But yeah, those are the ones that I spend my time on.
Right.
I just enjoy that because it gives me something different to hear in a song.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so now let's go back a little bit to something you said earlier. So Dad was a logger, and you grew
Yes.
up in Bend, Oregon, and so you also told me earlier that you were like on a tour bus by the time you were 14 out playing with bands. So Tell us, from finding those instruments down in the basement to getting on a tour bus, like what happened?
Dad was a logger and my mom was an Okie. And of course, if you're a logger, you got to go where the big trees are. So we went to Oregon. And Dad was born and raised in Oregon. I was born in Oregon. And so we're up in the sticks. People go, "Did you have an accent?" I'm like, "Yeah, you don't know how far up we were." That was, we really were. I mean, long-haired mullets in Copenhagen, and that's how I grew up. And so with this thing that I wanted to do, which was sing. At 6 years old, I got on stage for a talent contest, and this was show 1. My mom rest her soul, both my folks are gone. But she had taken my little Sunday school outfit. I'll never forget it. I want to say it was like a really dark blue. And she put, now I was Porter Wagner. I mean, I had gold horses from my boot up to my kneecap. I had fringe on my shirt. There's pictures of this. I can't make this up. I walked out on stage and I sang an Anne Marie song. Walk right back to me this minute. Bring your love to me. Don't send it. I'm so lonesome every day. I got done, right? And I hear this. I'm hooked. That's all I want to do the rest of my life. That was the coolest thing that ever happened to me. I'm sitting there in the next day, and Mom is taking the stuff off of she's taking the fringe off my church. I'm bawling. No! And that was it. I mean, that's how it started. So by the time I was 6, somehow they'd found an agent, and I got to be the opening act for Bob Hope. And so Bob was...
What?
Yeah.
Come on.
Bob was late in life at that point already. Kind of people helping him on and off from center stage. But I would go out and sing the anthem. And that was the cute little kid act that started it all. And we ran every summer in the fair circuits. And then by the time I was 14, we had a bus, and then we were doing a lot of stuff by then. We'd play shows all summer, and then I got in a touch of acting. So somewhere floating around out there's me in a Tide commercial. I didn't much care for acting because you had to live in LA, and I wasn't a big LA fan when I was a kid. I love it now. I don't mind going out there at all. The food's great, but but anyway, that's how that journey started. That's how the instrument started, and it just became where I put all my attention, all my energy.
So when I think of like you think of county fairs, and you think of like a little kid coming out on stage in his little Porter Wagner uniform, and he's got his fiddle. I can think of a few things that he might start sawing off there. I want to know if you remember something from the early days that you used to walk out and do that you will do for us right now to show us how you can light up that fiddle.
First of all, that's a genius question to take me back there. Well, one of the first things you had to learn, one of the first things I learned, in fact, to the point of the person that asked, is this number one? Yes, this is number one. I didn't get number one until I was in my 30s. My actual number one is my grandpa's fiddle. And y'all, if you've seen my show, you know that story. And so grandpa's fiddle, when I opened it up, it was a wooden case with that violin in it, and there was 2 songs that he had handwritten in there. The first one was, Buffalo Gals, Won't You Come Out Tonight? And the second one was, well, look at yonder coming down that railroad track. Yeah, look at yonder coming down that railroad track. It's an orange blossom special, bringing my baby back. sir.
Come on.
Thank you all.
Wow.
That's like trying to play Twister when you're sitting up here on this stool.
Oh, man. I don't even know how you follow it. Well, I guess you follow. There's only one way to follow that. And that's with a question of how in the world did you go from playing that on stage as a little kid to being the music director for Wayne Newton in Las Vegas? What? You've had more interesting segments to your life than Forrest Gump. I mean, what? You're in Vegas.
Mommy says life's like a box of chocolate.
You're in Vegas playing in Wayne Newton's band and eventually become, band leader, which that is no small thing in a town like Vegas, man. So tell us about that chapter of your life.
So by 19, my family kind of went through that Leanne Rimes thing where the whole thing blew up, right? And it just, oh yeah, it was bad. Dad went one way, Mom went one way, I went the other, right? And so, and that happens. There's all kinds of issues at that point when you've been in the show business world, right, with a family and a young kid acting. And so I got this offer from a gentleman by the name of Denny Hale. Denny Hale was the lead guitar player for Barbara Mandrell. He was Do-Right.
Okay.
And he said, hey, they're putting in this big production show in Las Vegas. You ought to send them down your demo tape, right? Because we had demo tapes. And they're hiring. They're looking for acts. It's going to be this big variety production show. There's going to be dancers and comedians, and they need you. Like you're a fiddle player, guitar player, singer. I had the mullet. Oh, the mullet was cool, man. And I went down there and I got the job. And for a kid, they offered me this truckload of money. And I just said yes as fast as I could. So now I'm in Vegas. I'm 19. I meet Miss Lisa at 20. I get married at 21. We start having kids. I got the house. I got the dog. I got the car payment. And the show ends. And I'm like, oh, well, that was a fun musical ride. That was a lot of fun. And so I joined a local country band. And I didn't even want to run my own thing at that point. I just wanted to go show up every night and just play. And I did. And we were working and making a house payment and everything was fine. And I mentioned this earlier in the green room. I started doing jingles. Jingles, you can make money doing jingles back then on the radio. You sing them, I'd play them. And so I hit it off with this great jingle producer, rest his soul, named Steve Diamond. Steve Diamond used to be Wayne Newton's guitar player. He was Wayne's favorite guitar player. So fast forward to whatever year it was. I believe it was, I don't even remember now. 1, 2, I guess, maybe 2001, maybe. And the phone rang, and it was Greg Macaluso, Wayne Newton's music director, and Wayne had the house show at the Stardust. Y'all remember the Stardust? Okay, that was a big deal, right? Wayne Newton at the Stardust. The sign was the size of this building, and I got this call. It was Greg Macaluso. He said, "So our guitar player is leaving, and you come highly recommended by Steve Diamond." And I'm floored. I'm like, oh, thank you, God. I'm going to get me a job back in music. I said, well, I'd love to come back and I'd love to audition for you. Greg said, no, son, you don't understand. If Steve says you're the guy, you're the guy. Are you free in 2 weeks? And I said, I'll get free. And he said, can you come down to the Stardust showroom tonight? Mr. Newton would like to meet you. I was 26 years old. I walked out of our little bedroom and my eyes like I had seen E.T. And I said, honey, we're going to the show tonight. And we just sat there and cried and we laughed. It was a beautiful moment. And we went down and met Mr. Newton, again, got the book. And I don't read, but they handed me a book full of squiggly crap. And it was sheet music. I don't know what that was, of country. And so I had to listen to the board tapes and just keep listening to the board tapes until I figured out what the sheet music meant. That's kind of how I learned reading staff. And I still don't read staff great. But that's how I learned that section of my life. I got on his private plane 2 weeks later, and I had still never played a note, never had a rehearsal, never had anything. We're sitting on the tarmac in Vegas, and the band's on there. The band hates me because A, I'm a hillbilly, and I wasn't going to hide it. B, I was a child, and these are Berkeley jazz grads, right? I was not cool. I'm sitting on the plane, and here comes Mr. Newton and his wife, Kathleen, and the sister-in-law, and the dogs, and the hairdresser, and the entourage that comes with a superstar like that. Hey, Scott, how you doing? Nice to meet you. I'm glad you're here. So that's how it started. We flew to Foxwoods, Connecticut. Foxwoods is a giant casino there on the East Coast in Connecticut. And my very first sound check, he pulled out Train I Ride by Elvis Presley, which is basically a Merle Haggard song, which I'd been playing Merle Haggard songs since I could breathe. And I had a great solo. Like in sound check, that was the first time he had ever heard me. And that started a great friendship of almost 8 years. And then I left him in 2007 or 8, I think, right around there. Wow. So there you go.
Wow.
Cheers.
Here's to Wayne Newton, ladies and gentlemen.
Here's to Wayne. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now back to your hillbilly music. Tell me about Cowboy's Daughter.
The first song written in COVID. That was it. Like
There you go.
You're unemployed, as we all were, and that was it. I opened the studio window and I sat up there in the sill, and I just thought, okay, well now you've always wanted an opportunity to write, so here's your chance.
Yeah. Y'all doing okay? All right. Just filling space while he puts on one of his many instruments.
This song did great for us. It was our first top 10 in the state of Texas. Here's a true story called The Cowboy's Daughter. Never saw a girl look like she'd been from her cowboy boots to the top of her brow was perfect. She had a smile like I've never seen before. It was so sincere and felt so warm. It wrecked me. There was an old cowboy behind the bar. I told him, gotta ask her on the floor to dance. Sure looks like she's out of my league. Hey, buddy, do you think I've got a chance? And he said, I'll let you in on a little secret, because I know her better than most. She's like a wild Mustang that can't be tamed, and many have tried, but no one's come close. 'Cause she's sharper than a knife, what life's taught her. Son, she's more than just a girl in a bar. She's a cowboy's daughter. Then it hit me who I was talking to, and in my embarrassment, all I could do was blush. I said, I'm sorry, sir, and no disrespect. Never had a girl take my breath like she does. He said, don't worry, son, you spoke your heart. I don't think that you said anything wrong. 'Cause I was once like you, a young man in a bar, and that's how I met her mom. He said, I'll let you in on a little secret, because I know her better than most. She's like a wild Mustang that can't be tamed, and many have tried, but no one's come close. 'Cause she's sharper than a knife, what life's taught her. Son, she's more than just a girl in a bar. She's a cowboy's daughter. And he said, I'll let you in on a little secret, because I know her better than most. She's like a wild Mustang that can't be tamed, and many have tried, but no one's come close. 'Cause she's sharper than a knife, what life's taught her. Son, she's more than just a girl in a bar. She's a cowboy's daughter. She's a cowboy's daughter. Stand up, let them see your T-shirt real quick there. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Speaking of T-shirts, you going to be over at the merch table after the show?
I sure am.
All right.
Square card reader and cash accepted.
Merch helps independent musicians make it to the next town. So if you want to pay it forward to the folks wherever he's going to play next, go buy some merch. It'll go in the gas tank.
Thank you, that is correct.
Oh, man. Are you having a good time tonight?
I'm having the time of my life. This is a blast.
Man, I'm glad. Okay, so...
How about a round of applause for our hosts tonight, y'all? Kyle Hunton. Incredible.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so I want to ask you about somebody that you and I have some mutual respect for, and I know it because you recorded and covered a little song called "Gentle on My Mind" on your latest full-length studio record, and so talk to me a little bit. Why'd you pick that one? What is it about Glen Campbell? Like, give me some of your thoughts, because he's, man. You could go to my office right now, and above my desk, I've got the records that kind of help shape me, and one of them is Glen Campbell on that white horse in that desert scene with Rhinestone Cowboy.
Back when album covers were cool. So talk to me about Glen Campbell and why you picked that song. I think that I had to, at some point between Gentle on My Mind and Wichita Lineman, I think I was conceived during those two records. Like I hear them and I go into a trance. Yeah. There's something about, and I just go, huh? And so it was real easy for me. And I think with Glen, maybe the reason honestly, it's such a good question though, to dive deeper on it, and that's what I love about your show, is because maybe Glen's thing was he was a studio musician. Yeah. And he cut on 1,000 records. Oh, and by the way, he sang and he wrote and he did that. And maybe subconsciously I was like, oh, well, then that's my guy. Like that's what I do. And I love that because I love Ricky Skaggs and I love Vince and I love Steve Wariner and of course I love Keith Urban. He's kind of cut from that same mold for me. But for Glen, I think it was the time frame that those records came out that I was exposed to them that I went, that's music. Mm. It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. That makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. And it's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds, the ink stains that have dried upon sunlight. That keeps you on the back roads by the rivers of my memory. For hours you're just gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks that I've been planted on their columns now that bind me, or something that somebody said because they thought we fit together walking. Just knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiven when I walk along some railroad track and find that you're waiting on the back roads by the rivers of my memory. For hours you're just gentle on my mind. wheat fields and the farmlands and the highways and the junkyards come between us. And some other woman's crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone. I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and the summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. Oh, but not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads. For hours you're just gentle on my mind. I might dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling crackman collared in some train yard, with my beard a ruffling coal pile and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cupped hands around the tin can, I'll pretend to pull you to my breast and find that you're waiting on the back roads by the rivers of my memory. For hours you're just gentle on my mind. You're so gentle on my mind.
Oh, come on. God dang.
Thanks, Glenn.
Woo!
Thank y'all.
Man.
Wayne used to tell me stories because he and Glenn were friends. And he said those years that Glenn was married to Tanya Tucker, they would come into town, they'd get in a hotel suite, and they'd get all coked out of their mind, and they'd get in some knockdown drag out, and the hotel would tell them one of them had to leave or they were going to call the cops. And so either Glenn or Tanya would come over and stay at the Shenandoah Ranch on Glenn. So this was years before I came along. But I'm sitting on the airplane listening to Mr. Newton tell this story, and I'm like...
Oh, man, I love it. Thank you for playing that, man. That just warmed my heart.
Thank you, sir, for asking for it. That's one of my favorites.
Man, okay, so a couple other questions that I have for you, and I've kind of been leading you all over the place tonight, and then I want to just give you some room to pick a couple of songs. But one of the things I always, kind of as a songwriter, one of the things I always find myself asking about and curious about is when I'm reading a track list on an album, my mind always goes to the last track, because what I've found, like, I don't know, maybe it's just with me, but my hunch proves to be right sometimes, that yeah, not on those cryptocurrencies that I bought. My hunch was not right, but I want to ask you about the song in the 10th position on the record, Guilty. It's a song called What I Already Know. Mm-hmm. And so, like, first off, is there a reason it got the last spot? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Was there a reason you placed it there? And then maybe tell us about that one.
It got the 10th spot on that album because for me, especially at that point in my life, I needed an anchor, son. I mean, there's a reason I quit drinking. And I needed an anchor, and that song rolled back around. I wrote that song with a gentleman by the name of Michael Boggs, who is a worship leader at Brentwood Baptist Church, just south of Nashville, Tennessee. And he was invited to a songwrite, one of the very first songwrites I ever had in Nashville, and it was with Mr. Brian White. Rebecca Lynn, that Brian White. And Brian and I have been brothers for many years now. I played guitar for him at the end of his big radio run. And so he invited me on this songwrite, and we were sitting there, and it was one of the very first songs I ever wrote in Nashville. And it anchored me. And when I saw what it meant to other people, too, is I know you have songs that do that, too, right? You see a connection that maybe, just maybe, this little magical craft we call songwriting, we allow ourselves to be the conduit of some sort of healing, some sort of thing that somebody else needs to hear, not us. And so that little tune became that. Mm. What's that, hon?
Between February and May, I lost both my grandmas, and that song got me.
Thank you, honey. Life has been a teacher, an enemy and a friend. And I've been more of a sinner than a saint. I've been known to lose my temper, patience and my pride, and I've never lost my need to pray. Lord, I don't need some mountain move for me or some miracle to be home. All I really need is just a little more faith to believe what I already know. You said you'd never leave me. You walk right by my side. But right now all I feel is alone. 'Cause I don't see your angels watching over me, but Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. Lord, I don't need some mountain move for me or some miracle to be home. All I really need is just a little more faith to believe what I already know. I know there's much bigger problems than mine. Lord, if you get the time, well, I don't need the waters to part for me or to see the streets of gold. All I really need is just a little more faith to believe what I already know. All I really need is just a little more faith to believe what I already know. Thank you all.
Wow.
I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of that song, and I'm also proud to say that on this new album this year, there's a remake of that song. And I have a habit of doing that sometimes because a song will mean more to me down the road than it did when I first wrote it. And I'm also very proud to say that for, as you and I are, and his picture's hanging on this wall, Mr. Chuck Cannon produced this version. So when you hear it, it's the only one I didn't produce on this record. Chuck wanted to produce that record, and we wanted him to produce that one. So you'll hear that on this year's record.
I can't wait to hear that. That's
Thank
great.
you, man.
Man, you know, I think I already know the answer. You know, I told you I had 2 questions, right? And I think I already know the answer to this one. But, I mean, I could be wrong. I have been. But a question that I like to ask, and I don't do it every show, but I felt compelled to ask you the question. You know, there may be listeners out there that are listening or folks that are watching the podcast that it's their first time to meet you, you know, get to hang out and hear your music. And it's always interesting to me to ask the question of a songwriter because, you know, every song tends to be your baby or be special to you for some reason, you know. But I love to ask the question, if you only got to pick one. Do you see what I'm saying? In other words, if people only got to hear one song that you've written, which one would you want it to be? And I would have to say, if you've got another one, I get it. But that last one has to be a contender, I would say, for that.
It is.
That one's so touching.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yes, it is. That's definitely in the top 3.
Okay. Well, then we want to hear the other 2.
It's actually one that I just wrote. And I hope that I'm up to the point where I can sing it live.
Okay.
And it's not a sad song. It's just a true song for me. It's an image. So there's 4 of us. I'm the baby from a different dad, and I have 3 older brothers and sisters. And by older, I mean like I'm the oh by the way kid. My sister Barbara, as some of you know, made famous from the song Family. There you go. We may get to that one before the night's over, too. Barbara is the baby of that family. She's 18 years older than my sister Victoria is 22 years older than I am, and my brother Dave is 24 years older than I am. And all of us kids are starting to come back together now. I'm very proud of that. And there was a point in my life that I saw these images, and so I just wrote about this one a couple weeks ago. So this would be one of them. Yeah, and I mean, I truly got to remember this one too. That's how fresh it is. Yeah, the fridge was green and the cupboards were brown. It said just off the highway about a mile from town. And I remember the day they put the front porch on. Mama called it the mobile, and it was our home. It was the happiest place on earth for a little 8-year-old boy running around in the dirt. Our own little piece of the American pie. I was lucky to grow up in a single wide. Yeah, there was room for a TV and an easy chair, a hideaway sofa with an ashtray there. My room was down the hall, first one on the right. I can still hear her saying, "Let the bed bugs bite." It was the happiest place on earth for a little 8-year-old boy running around in the dirt. Our own little piece of the American pie. I was lucky to grow up in a single wide. Daddy'd leave for work every morning at 4, and it was dark when he came home through that little front door. Yeah, he worked like a dog to keep his plan alive. There were some mighty big dreams in that single wide. It was the happiest place on earth for a little 8-year-old me running around in the dirt. Our own little piece of the American pie. Hey, I was lucky to grow up in a single wide. Yeah, I grew up in a single wide. Yes, I did. That'll be on 22's album.
Thank you for sharing that one with us.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, we just got an exclusive, y'all. I don't know if y'all picked that up. I don't think anybody else has heard that yet.
I think I've only played it once live or twice live, and it's still, you know, if you let those images get a little too close, it'll happen to you too, right? You can just be sitting there drinking your coffee. All of a sudden, you can picture your mom tucking you in when you were 8 years old, and you went, huh.
You know what that means? you did your job right.
I hope so, man.
Man, that's great. Have y'all had a good time tonight? Man, I have too. I have too. You know, I'm looking right down front down here. Don't forget your Griffin Realty Group koozies. Those are special. They'll keep your beer extra cold. You need to take them with you when you go. Thank you guys for everything you do to help make nights like this happen. And I wish you the best of luck on helping 100 families this year. And if you have any real estate needs, talk to people that support your community. They're putting their money back in it along with Chicago Title. And can y'all give it up one more time for the people at Do-Si Do as well? Let's give it up for our servers and cooks and...
Love you, Paul.
Yeah, how about Paul, the sound man back there,
Love you,
making
Paul.
us sound great all night long. Yeah. Man, we got time for a couple more, and I'm going to just keep my mouth shut. I would like you to pick a couple songs you'd like to finish the night off with tonight.
You got it. You could have done better than me. And I think you're one of life's mysteries. Why, girl, who could stop a room and had the world on a string? Would walk away from her road to ride shotgun with a music man like me. 'Cause I know you could have been a movie star. And honestly, I don't know why you are, but you gave it up for our dream and a song. Oh, I guess that's just the road that we're on. And baby, you had a better chance than most to have the arm of a rich man hanging out on the California coast. But maybe right here's where you belong. Riding these roads with me, living out on a song. 'Cause I know you could have been a movie star. And honestly, I don't know why you are, but you gave it up for our dream and a song. Oh, I guess that's just the road that we're on. Oh, you gave it up for love, right or wrong. Oh, I guess that's just the road that we're on. Thank you, friends.
Yeah.
That'll be the title track of this album this year.
Man, what a great song. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here with us tonight, man. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a wonderful night.
I owe you this stage, my friend. You were the one that invited me up here for the very first time for a dude looking for a place to put his music, and you invited me here. And this audience is here tonight because that journey started with your invite. So from the bottom of my heart, I'm very appreciative. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure, my friend. My pleasure. Y'all want to hear one more before we get out of here tonight? All right.
The very first time I ever sang this song, I was sitting right here. Kyle was sitting about where that radio is, and Wade Bowen was sitting over there where he's sitting right now. We finished this song, and you remember what the guy in the back of the room said?
I don't.
We finished that song, and he goes, "I know your sister." My sister was a stripper in Memphis. She changed her name to Bobby Lee. Hey, she's the kind of girl that likes a cold beer for breakfast and for dinner, just a bowl of weed. Yeah, she done a little time in prison because she liked the way cocaine smelled. Now she's got a nice trailer up in Northern California, and I'm proud to say she's doing well. Yeah, so I won't go judging you. Oh, and you don't go judging me. 'Cause when there's a lot to forgive and a lot to love, you know that sounds like family. Yes, it does. Yeah, my mama was a half-breed Cherokee, the meanest damn Okie around. She wanted me to be a star just a little too hard, and went through every boy in my hometown. Yeah, and all my memories about her, Mommy was always doing somebody wrong. Yeah, but there's times in my life I've been a lot like her. That's why I'm singing about her in this song. Yeah, so I won't go judging you. Oh, and you don't go judging me. When there's a lot to forgive and a lot to love, you know that sounds like family. Yes, it does. Now my sister, my mama, honey, you and me all made mistakes, like it or not. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, honey, your family is all you got. Yeah, so I won't go judging you. Oh, and you don't go judging me. When there's a lot to forgive and a lot to love, you know that sounds like family. Yeah, so I won't go judging you. Oh, and you don't go judging me. When there's a lot to forgive and a lot to love, you know that sounds like family. Yes, it does, family. Yeah, that sounds like family. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Scotty Alexander.
Great show, my friend.
Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. We're going to have Scotty right over here at the merch table. Y'all come by, buy a t-shirt, buy a hat.